on.
It's like I just got to hear things happening. Did you mean to? No?
Can everybody hear me back there? All right. Is everybody back there? Awesome, awesome. Hopefully everyone got a chance to get some pizza. Before we get started with college, first of all, I just wanted to welcome all of you guys here. I'm really glad we've got a crowd that we have to come and experience this with us. We've done college nights in the past, and this is a change for us in a lot of different directions. One, we've never had the kids get involved. And if you've been to one of these before, you've always heard me preach how important it is that the student athlete is involved in this process. So having so many other players here, I think, is wonderful. It's great to see all the parents as well. The other thing is where we're at. People were asking me, how did you end up hooking up this at Kickers and getting a part of being involved with Kickers? Well, I've known Pete Stoyanovich for a long time, and raise a hand. Do you guys know Pete Stoyanovich is? Oh, a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. Pete is the owner of Kickers. Those of you that do know him, if you look at the back wall over there, you notice a bunch of football jerseys. Pete's best known because he was an NFL kicker for 12 years. And he played for the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. A little round of applause, well done. But what you may not know about Pete is that his first passion is actually soccer. And he was a tremendous soccer player. Played in college at Indiana University. So I'm going to talk a little bit about his experience there. Was a dual sport athlete, both in football and soccer. So Pete did want to get a chance to say a couple of words. And Pete, are you around?
Yeah.
There he is right here. And before he gets up on the stage, just want to let you know we're trying to do more of these things in the community and get involved with more partnerships. And we're really excited to be a part of Kickers. So without further ado, here's Pete Stoyanovich.
Thanks, Pete. I appreciate the introduction. Oh, yeah. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody. Really excited to be here in front of all of you this evening, and really excited about the new partnership that we've taken on with Canton Soccer. And I want to thank Pete and Joe Amir and the rest of the directors and some of the coaches and everyone that's been involved in the process. But being here at Victory Park, I only thought it was appropriate that we became the official grill of Canton Soccer, simply because you guys are using High Velocity as your home, and we certainly, in the end, we'll explain a little bit what we want to do to honor that, and I'm really proud to have everyone here this evening. Real quick about me, I'm not going to get into it too much, but like Pete was saying, I did play in the NFL for 12 years, and my passion was really soccer, to be honest with you. And I was very fortunate to, when I came out of high school, and I was very heavily recruited, as you can imagine, I used to play for the Olympic team back in 82, 83, and 84. And unfortunately, the only avenue that we had as soccer players back then were either go overseas and play, because there was really no structure here at the time. The NASL, for some of you parents that may remember, kind of folded back in the early 80s, and there was really no structure with soccer, and it was either overseas or bust. Fortunately for me, I had an option. Obviously, I was an exceptional field goal kicker, and that's what I opted to do. But I did go on to Indiana University, and I spent 3 years doing both. And it was a privilege to play for the university, and I know Joe Stevens is an alumni here from the university, and he's probably the only one in here from Indiana University. But it was an honor for me. It was a privilege. And but for you younger kids today, the opportunity that you guys have is simply incredible. And all the assets that you guys got, and all the training facilities, and all the knowledge that you're picking up with the game of soccer today, it's come so far from 20, 30 years ago. And I feel like they're finally starting to compete on a world-class level, and the opportunity is golden for a lot of you guys. And I'm going to be around here for the rest of the evening. If anyone would like to share some some thoughts with me, I'd be more than happy to talk and give you some, some advice or some, just, talk a little soccer if you'd like. But once again, I don't want to get into it too much, but I just want to thank everyone for being here this evening. And once again, I want to thank Canton Soccer for making this your venue and having us, the opportunity hosting here tonight. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of the night, okay?
Thanks, Pete. Pete had alluded, one of the things I want to point out here, as part of the partnership with Kickers, he has offered to give us, every one of our members, a gift card to Kickers that you can use anytime that you're here for 20% off of food and drink specials. We have those cards tonight, and at the end of the night, if you can find John O'Meara, who I think will be sitting right over there, you can grab one of these cards and you can start using it anytime that you come into Kickers. So, once again, Pete, thank you so much for taking care of our members. Appreciate it. All right, so why are we here? All right, there's so many questions out there. People are so, I think at times can be overwhelmed by this whole college recruiting process. And before we get into what should we do, when should we do it, how do we do it, and where do we start, it's important to know that, and we can hold that there, Danny, that we get caught in that idea that it's a recruiting process that we're a part of. And it's not. It should completely be reversed and called a college search process. And I'm going to kind of get into explaining that a little bit, and then we have another partner that I'm going to introduce who's going to run through the meat of why we're here and what his company's all about. And again, so little time to do it. Go ahead. All right, so people ask me, what's the first thing you have to do? The first things we have to do is we have to know ourselves. And that means every student athlete that's out there needs to understand that there are two things that are important: academics and athletics. So for the student athletes out there, which is the first one on the board? Academics. You have to focus on your grades. There are very, very few of us that will go on and make a career as a professional soccer player. Based on that, you have to use soccer as a tool to enjoy finding whatever that other career will be in your life. So understanding yourself is hugely important. Remember, you're a student athlete. Student is first. A lot of people ask me, what are the opportunities out there? And Dan put this together to talk about the different programs and the amount of, people ask all the time about scholarships. That's part of the process. I think we get tied up in that process, but it's something we need to understand and know. A lot of people understand what the NCAA is, right? National Collegiate Athletic Association. Who understands what the NAIA is? Nice work. Yes. But there wasn't a lot of people that raised their hands. People are like, what is the NAIA? It's another opportunity for kids to go to college and potentially play college soccer. And then there's the National Junior Colleges. And that includes places as just like Schoolcraft and some of the other junior colleges that you know in the area. So inside of all those opportunities, and there are a few others, there's the small Christian colleges that are out there that fall into their own category, but those are the main ones. And if you can see all the different totals there, what is available as far as scholarship? People ask all the time. NCAA Division I. If you take all of the four-year institutions, right, the NCAA men's and Division I and II have the smallest amount of men's programs available. But girls, take a look at it on the other side. There's 198 Division I men's programs, and that may actually be a little less now, and there are 320 available to our female athletes. So it's pretty exciting. I know boys are going, well, why is that exciting to me? There's two sides to this coin, right? I think girls all the time feel like, well, we don't get as many opportunities as the boys. And part of why we wanted to show this is to see how many more opportunities or how many opportunities there are out there for our female athletes as well. But if you look at the totals there, how many scholarships are available? People are like, well, how many people are on a roster? Not everybody on a roster is going to get a scholarship. Not everybody on a roster is going to get a full ride. People talk about full rides all the time. They're almost non-existent. It's amazing how many times people will say, oh, my son or daughter got a full ride. And then I sit and talk to him, I say, oh, really? Well, yeah, that didn't include tuition and book, or I mean, excuse me, that didn't include room and board and books. Well, okay, well, there's a big difference in what a full ride is, right? But what colleges do is they take that amount of scholarships that are available to them, and these are rules not set by the colleges themselves, but by the governing bodies, and they take those scholarships and they'll divide them up. And they figure out, okay, I've got X amount of money. To have 9 scholarships at this level means that's totally different to each school. All right, it's 9 full rides at U of M is going to be way different than 9 full rides at Adrian. Right? See what I'm saying? Because the school costs a little bit more or less depending on your approach. So given all that, you've got all those different opportunities that are there, and then you look at that and say, wow, I potentially have 9,000 full ride scholarships on the boys' side and over 11,000 full ride scholarships on the girls' side. Well, you need to put those numbers into perspective as you're figuring out what it is you want to do. Because they're going to get whittled down as you go back to that last slide, and start to determine what you are all about. And that's where moms and dads and you as a player need to go from here. So Dan, you want to push along? All right, you need to be realistic. Meet with your coaches. Why do you want to meet with your coach? Why do we want to meet with our coach? Why do you guys sit through evaluations? Got somebody back there. Go ahead. Why do you want to meet with your coach? Yell. I love it. I love it. How old are you? I can't see. 8. That is an early starter right there. I think there's a scholarship waiting somewhere over there if you're starting this early. That's awesome. That's a great answer. But once you get a little bit older and you start realizing, man, I'm already a freshman in high school, meeting with your coach helps you figure out some of those first steps to help you be realistic with yourself. You know, where does your coach feel that you fit in? You know, does your coach feel that you're an NCAA Division I athlete? And if the coaches are, and we instruct them all the time, be honest. We sit down and say, you know what, I don't know that you're someone that is going to get recruited at U of M, right, or Michigan State. You may need to be looking at maybe some smaller schools because that fits you, not necessarily as your academic interest, but your coach is going to talk to you on the athletic side of things. So meeting with your coach. In that meeting, you're going to discuss strengths and weaknesses. We don't have it right here. Talk to your parents. You and your parents need to discuss, where do you stand? I need to talk to my kids all the time about the importance of the very first thing we talked about, academics. Riley's here, and you have no idea how many times he's like, hey, Dad, I got 3 A's and 2 A minuses. Hey, what the hell happened to the A minuses? Just kidding, but you know where we're at with this. The better you can be as a student, the more opportunities there are for you. And I think as parents, we want to sit down and be realistic and say, all right, hey, not all of our kids are going to be all straight A's. That's not what I'm saying you need to be either here. But we want to be realistic as to what it is that fits you academically. If you're not straight A's or you can't stand math, maybe you're not going to go to an engineering school. Make sense, right? So we start to talk about those things and develop a rapport with our own children that says, hey, this is what I think you're good at. You know, you're tremendous at writing and you're such a creative person. Let's look at schools that are going to help foster that. So not only do you meet with your coaches, but you meet with your parents and start to develop that realistic script that's going to help you whittle down the search. Obviously, this all has to be done at an unbiased perspective. All right, be honest. So we have to tell our coaches all the time in evaluations, be honest. It's okay. You know what people say? One of the greatest things I think kids can do right now, think about this as you're whittling through your wallet right now, parents. How about sending your kids to a junior college for 2 years, saving a ton of dough, right? And then they can transfer to a 4-year university and still possibly pay or play 4 years of soccer. It's a wonderful option out there. And if that fits your son or daughter, then it's something you really want to take a look at and pursue. Set realistic goals with realistic schools. You kind of understand where I'm going with all of that, right? So you're athletically, how do I think I fit? Academically, how do I think I fit? asking for references. Not only is that to put together your profile and have me down as your reference and your coach as a reference, but you need to talk. You need to get academic references. Talk to your counselors. Talk to your teachers, and go from there. Go ahead, Danny. Oh yeah, reality, and this is huge. Only 2% of all athletes are actively recruited by college coaches, leaving the remaining 98% to self-recruit. I told you before, it should be changed from the recruiting process to the search process. And this is why. People ask me all the time, who knows Jamie Scott here? Some of you do. Jamie Scott's one of our coaches. Who can tell me where Jamie Scott coaches college soccer? Lawrence Tech, she does. Just had a meeting with her. She's coaching right now tonight. Couldn't be here. But I was just talking to her the other day, and we were both going over the same thing. And she's like, hey, what are you going to talk about? I said, I really want to talk about how important it is for our athletes and our families to grab a hold of this process themselves and really go at it. And she's like, Pete, that's so important just because of the resources. And I said, I get it, Jamie. So think about that. So she's at Lawrence Tech, and resources are different. But what are resources for a college coach? You don't have to spit it out. I'll give it to you. Resources are time, their amount of time, and money. It's the same resources that we have in our everyday life. So Jamie, for example, at Lawrence Tech, only has so much time and so much money. So when she's going to use those resources, she has to use them the best way possible. How do you think using her time and money is best spent? Spit some out. Come on. Coaching. So she's earning money. So if you could say, going to college showcases. That's awesome. You're going to see very little athletes. You have no idea if those athletes are interested in your school, and you're going to spend a lot of money. So as a college coach, that's one avenue. What she wants to find, and every coach, I don't care at what level they're at, wants to find, is that player that's interested in them. Because now, I have someone who's told me they want me, and if you don't know me, I coached at a very small school for 10 years, and trust me, I used to joke that the most I could do with my recruiting was open the front door and yell. And it really was about that minimal. But if I knew they wanted to come to my school, I wanted to find out about that student athlete. What are their grades? How are they? I'm going to call their coach. You know, what do you think of this player? Now I feel like I'm spending my resources appropriately. So think about that. If I don't get the initial contact from the student athlete, I may never know anything about who he or she is. Does that make sense? All right. So that's the reality of it all. Go ahead, Danny. We'll move through this. All right. You want to make a plan. People talk about making a plan, and the guy that's really going to talk to you about how this whole thing works is going to talk to you in depth about that plan. But you've got 4 years of high school to make this plan work. The first year is definitely sit down and do that self-evaluation, that self-analysis. Talk to your coach, talk to your parents, go from there. Your sophomore year, you really want to start searching. Start looking at schools that might have an interest for you. First you're going to say is, I'm a sophomore, I'm 15 or 16 years old, I have no idea what I want to do. That's okay. All right? Start figuring some different things out. You can't have an idea of who you are. You know why you have an idea of who you are? Because of step one. You sat down with your coaches and your parents and you talked about what it is that makes you up as a person. Then you're in between your junior and sophomore year and going into your junior year, start to set up opportunities to go see different schools. Right? A lot of these can be very unofficial. And Greg will talk to you a little bit more. I'm going to introduce him in a little bit more about official and unofficial visits. But you can just go check out a campus at any time. All right? I mean, if your son or daughter wants to go to UCLA, that might be a tougher campus to go check out with. But let me know. I could possibly go with you. But in there, you're going to see what is that school like? What's it all about? Also, contact the coach. Send the coach an email. Be personal with your contacts. Don't say, dear coach, your school is cool, I'd like to go there. It's not going to work. You need to say, all right, hey, Coach McEvely, I am really interested in the school that you coach at. I understand that you've got a wonderful business program. Business is something I'm totally interested in. On top of that, I think one of the things I might want to do is go into marketing and business. With that, I've noticed that your soccer program is boom, 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 and we list it. And at the end of the day, here are my references, and I'd really love the opportunity to talk to you more about it. A couple things about that cover letter. I went through this very quickly. What did I start with? Name. Second part, go to the body of it. Academics. Thank you. Don't forget, that is always first. Tell them why you want to go to that school. It's not because you want to play soccer. You're going to get to that. And we did, and we talk about that program. So in your sophomore and junior year, you're doing that, and then you're hitting hard your senior year, that final list that you've whittled down to really say, all right, where am I going to end up? And people ask me all the time, well, how do I know if I've made the right decision? You don't. I went to Central Michigan University to play soccer. Inside of a very, very short period of time, I had knee surgery. Didn't play soccer there. I was lucky that I enjoyed that school. So in my case, I got lucky. But I can tell you that even though you don't know what's going to happen, what the future holds, by doing all this research, you're going to be way better off than just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. This research is really going to help you know that no matter what happens, I'm going to enjoy the next 4 or 5 years of my life. Right? Whether that be 4 or 5 years of playing great soccer, or in my case, having to just, hey, you know what? I was here for school and I knew it when I went there, and you go from there. So that's how you're going to set your plan up, and that's your outline for your plan. Go ahead, Dan. All right, so you want to be proactive, kind of going over those steps again. You've got to do the research, and you're going to be so happy with when I introduce Greg to you here, because he's going to help you with most of this. Make yourself known, contacting those coaches. Be knowledgeable. So when you're writing those letters, remember we talked about, hey, I understand you have this business program, and I know your soccer program is graduating 3 senior goalkeepers, if your son or daughter happens to be a goalkeeper. You're sure you're knowledgeable and interested. Make yourself more marketable. This last point is something we don't touch on a lot. It's not just about a program saying, wow, you're a good soccer player. Now, if you're that exceptional soccer player, that could be all it takes. But what else are you doing? Are you involved with your church or your community? Are you involved with your school? And that could be with school government. That could be with the yearbook. That could be that, you know what, you've got good grades and you're on the National Honor Society. Those are the things that make you more marketable. You know what else makes you more marketable, believe it or not? A job. If you go and get a job and show that you can handle the responsibility, right, of working, that's an asset that makes you more marketable. Go ahead, Dan. All right. Now here is why we are here. We had mentioned before that the club is really starting to develop more partnerships. And over the years, I've been looking at all kinds of different companies that are out there that say, hey, come meet with us. We can almost guarantee you a scholarship. You guys picked up on that, right? Yeah. Shake your head. Yeah. Almost here. Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna hear all kinds of things out there. There are all kinds of companies. Some are good. Some I wouldn't get anywhere near. But what we wanted to find is a company that we could partnership as a club to benefit you as our families and our members. So it's zero money out of your pocket. This is a partnership that we're paying for that's going to help you go through all of those bits and pieces and even more. Because when I get Greg up here, he's going to talk to you about things that I haven't even hit on here tonight. So our new partner to help us with our college search process is called College Fit Finder. And their CEO and owner is a guy by the name of Greg Allen. And without further ado, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Greg Allen.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I have nothing else to say. While we're getting set up, I guess I'll go in a little bit of introductions. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me. Came in on the red eye this morning, so I apologize if I fall asleep in my conversation. I'm from Los Angeles, so this is crazy out here. It's cold. I got off the plane, I walked outside. outside, my ears froze. I walked right back in the building and I said, I got to take a couple breaths before I go out there. Tonight we're going to go over the college recruiting process and how it pertains to the specific system and how we design things for you guys so you have resources at your fingertips that we didn't have when we were going through the process ourselves. So, a little bit about me. I'm originally from Las Vegas. Actually makes me good at my job because nobody is coming out to the middle of the desert to come watch me play soccer. Nobody was doing it. There's one school in the entire state that plays men's soccer, UNLV. They didn't like you, you're not playing. That's it. You had to be extremely proactive. Shout from the rooftops, come watch me play, come watch me play, come watch me play. Otherwise you get used to the idea you're not. Completely unacceptable to me. Not to my family. I was a good player. I played on at the time, we were the 25th best team in the country. So we get in front of UCLA to come watch me. Big schools would come watch our team play, but I didn't get noticed. Unfortunately, I had two kids on the national team that played with me in the center midfield. We ran a 3-5-2. I did all their dirty work for them. I was a defensive center midfielder. Nobody paid attention to me. Nobody came and watched me. Nobody came and found me. And I was good. College, played in college, coached in college. I was an all-West United States player. I played semi-pro ball. And nobody's coming after me. So me and my family had to have that discussion that Pete was talking about. We sat down at the dinner table and said, is this important? Well, it was. So both my parents were teachers. We didn't have a lot of money to rub together. So they said, if you were going to do this, we're going to do it right. And we started really plowing through the process. It was so much of an ordeal for my family because we did it the right way. I was talking with 55 colleges, 55 schools I was having dialogue with, keeping tabs on who we were talking to, when we talked to them. I'll share some of those stories about some my mishaps along the way. And why we designed things the way we did, so that way you guys don't run into those obstacles. So, when I got to school, finally, it was an active decision. It was the best choice of my life. I played at a small school in California. Doubt anyone's heard of it, Cal Lutheran University. So, I come from a smaller school environment that was an amazing education. Because at some point, players, unfortunately, I'm the bearer of bad news. Your career's going to end. I'm 31, I think. Yeah, 31 now. I'll be 32 soon. I'm washed up. Okay, I'm sure all the staff here, we're all washed up. We don't play anymore, right? Back in the good old days. Okay, so if you're not looking at it in terms of the education, sorry, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Who's looked into the cost of college yet? And Dan, if you want to go ahead and click on this one on top. Okay, so I'm going to say, and by the way, I'm going to be a little interactive tonight, so that way we get a little bit more out of this. So, players, I am going to be picking on you, and I'm sorry, man, you're in the front row. So, players, who's looked at the cost of college? Okay, you have back there. Okay, what have you found? What do you think? It is expensive. Where's your parents? Yeah, it's expensive. Like, what school do you want to go to? Name one. Quickly, go. Oh. Where do you want to go to school? Where? Where do you want to go to school? Harvard. Okay. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this. Okay. All right. So Harvard is expensive school. Okay. So just using an example out in California, players, I guess on the girls' side, who would want to play, or parents who would want to send their kid to go play for USC? Great education, packed whole school. No? Couple? Yeah, I would. All right. Well, that's about $60,000 a year. $60,000. $60,000 a year. Harvard's not too far off from that. So $60,000 a year, guys. And then you have to start thinking about how are we going to get ourselves into a position that we can afford something like that? Because, back there, it looks like your parents are going to be writing a nice blank check for school, right? No, I doubt that. Okay. So, what you can do in the classroom, what you can do on the field to prepare yourself for that gigantic burden. And what I'm not putting up here, because I'm really going to focus on the training session of the software tonight, but who's got a little one, like an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old brother or sister? Okay? You should start looking at the cost of college then, because the last 20 years has been about a 7% inflation rate. So by the time, let's say a 2025 grad gets to school, USC, for their 4 years, will be costing about $600,000. Look at the numbers. So, what this